You finally catch up with Morgan out in the courtyard. She sat on the steps of the fortress wall, looking out over the sea, expression sour. "Morgan, it doesn't look like you're enjoying the family reunion." She grimaces. "Yes, there's a lot to think about. Will you sit?" She lays a hand on the step beside her. You settle yourself down. Her shoulder presses against yours compassionately. After a time, she says, "We have not properly talked of what happened at Noskalangaev. I thought a lot about it, and I'm not sure what to do, but I'd like you to answer truthfully now, and I won't ask you again. Is it your wish that we be together, for more than a festival night?" Yes, no, or in truth I don't know. Yes! Holy fucking shit, yes! She lays her head on your shoulder and just sits there, silent for a while. "It's going to be a hard road," she says at last. "We may be drowned in a tide of Saxons within the year, and then there's Mother to contend with. I'm not sure which is worse." Her fingers lace into yours. "Ambrosius used to say that you have no real life if you fail to live it. So, here we are, you and me, with the dark all around us. Let's face it together for a time." She cups her hand under your chin, hesitates, and then draws you into a kiss. It's the noise that wakes you up, shouting in the corridor, your eyes open, blinking into morning light. There's Howell next to you, Morgan. She was here with you for at least part of the night. At the last you remember, holding each other in the dark, and twiddled, both trying not to giggle as Kai thumped around the room trying to find his way to bed. Art? Kai sits up, hair a haystack. In the bed across from him, Malcolm is staring. He looks considerably less bleary-eyed than Kai. You hear another shout. "Something about a sword?" "Here we go," says Malcolm. And then you all see it. 3 pairs of eyes drawn to it like iron-tailed lodestone. A sword. The sword. The one that Lod had made for Duncan. It lies amongst Malcolm's gear, next to his boots. "How did it get here? Did you..." You stare at him. He looks panicky. "No! No, I swear!" It sounds like Lod's men are searching room to room. Kai swallows. "What do we do?" "What choice do we have? We own up. Explain that we don't know anything about it. Or let's hide it quick. We'll work out what to do with it later. Or we'll tell them it was a drunken prank, swallow our pride and take our punishment." Holy fucking shit. Oh my god. We will not tell them that it was a drunken prank. What choice do we have? We own up, explain that we know nothing about it. This seems like the honest thing to do. But this is also a great way out to get killed. On the other hand, so does this one. Oh my god, this is a turning stone. I can feel it. Kai swallows. Is there... No, Gawain is not here. Do we have anywhere to hide it? Jesus Christ. Where would we hide it? We could throw it out of the window. Kai and Malcolm. Malcolm will help us. Kai is my brother. I know that this is a fucking thing that we should do, but I am so afraid. Do we have any way how to hide it? Let's risk it. You fumble out of bed and grab the sword, then do the only thing you can think of. You loop a leather cord around the pommel and sling the sword out of the window, tying the cord to the peg that holds the stud shutter back. Okay, well, that's what I was thinking. As you hastily climb back into bed, the door flies open. In the doorway stands Agravain. Apologies for the interruption, he says. It seems that during the night there was a thief at work. There are 2 armed men flanking him. Why, what's missing? Asks Sky, blinking sleepily. Surely you can think that we had something to do with it. Oh, certainly not, says Agravain. But it's only fair for us to treat all our guests as equals. You understand? You nod. Of course, feel free to search. They do so, as you stand shivering in the cold. You see Malcolm's hands twitch as Agravain stands next to the window surveying the room. Eventually, Lot's son gives a dissatisfied grunt. Nothing. It seems we must continue our search. We'll find it, that I swear. He looks around at all 3 of you, one by one, then his lips curl and he strides back out of the room followed by his men. Okay, now we know who's the fucker that did this. Well, that was something, says Kai. Now what? We get it back into the strong room as quietly as we can, so as not to disturb the hand fasting. Or we go to Lot, tell him the truth and give it back to him. Or we hold on to it for now and try to work out how it ended up here. Well, the thing is, we were warned not to trust Lot. We were warned about that twice. And I really think that he and Agravain are in this. Are we capable enough to get it into there? I don't want to do this. This seems like a bad choice. I don't know, holding on to it for now. That seems like a bad choice. I don't want to have it with me. Well, on one hand, like this seems like the best choice. Going back into the strong room and giving there could do us the best possible outcome. Going to Lot is a risk. We might win him over by this, but we might also get killed for that. And holding on to him for now, I don't know. Let's try to, figuring out how it got here is the best choice. It's after you've broken your fast. Gawain, Emrys and Morgan have joined you in your chambers. Morgan catches your hand and squeezes it hard once, and she sits on the bed beside you. So where do we start? Asks Malcolm. We have little time. The hand fasting is this afternoon. Gawain spreads his hands. Someone who wants to split the kingdoms apart. Cedric's folk. The Saxons? Morgan bites her lip. That's too obvious. I think. What of Agravain? Simply trying to discredit Arthur. I know he's your brother, Gawain, but everyone knows he'd be desperate to be war leader if he had the chance. I think we're missing something, says Emrys. What if it's nothing to do with Arthur at all, but it is an attempt to sow enough discord to put a halt to the marriage? Ill thought out then, says Kai. And who'd want to do that? Emrys shrugs. Morgus? Does she really want to lose her son to a foreign girl? Morgan? Gawain? You know her better than I, but I've heard it said that she's a jealous mother. Perhaps, says Morgan, ignoring Gawain's shocked look. Perhaps so. I think we should concentrate our efforts on the Saxons, the ones who made the sword. that they're here at all is peculiar. I'll go and talk to them. Perhaps you others could ask around and see what the people here have to say of them. Or I suspect Agravain. He was too quick to search this room. We should keep an eye on him, see what we can find out. Or perhaps Emrys is right. We should try and find out more about what Morgius thinks of the hand fasting. I really suspect Agravain that I know he knows about this. It isn't hard to find Agravain. He's angry and is making his displeasure known throughout the hall. You keep a distance from him, as if admiring the fortress, and keep both ears open as he strides around like a bee-stung bear. Late in the morning, you are leaning on the battlements near where Morgan kissed you last night, and you hear Agravain directed below you, talking to Blundry, one of his men. I don't care, I want it found. I know Arthur and his folk have it. The blade was in their room, but they've cheated me this morning. They were too quick for me. They cannot have put it far. Search again. Take another 4 men. It seems Agravain is very certain that the sword was in your room, almost as if he arranged for it to be there. What was I saying? So how have we fared? You ask the others back in your room. Malcolm shrugs. He was up at the early hour and had plenty of time to get to the strong room, but then so did many people. Emrys shakes his head. He's ambitious, but I couldn't find anything to place the blame squarely on him. What about you, Arthur? I heard it near as certain from his lips that he knew the sword was in our chambers before he came in. He placed it there, I'm sure of it. Kai sighs. Then what? What do we do? The hand fasting's about to happen. I'll go and see Lot quietly and give him back the blade. Or we fight back. Let's plant the blade in someone else's quarters. Or we return the blade to Lot publicly. I don't know. Doing it quietly seems like a stupid idea. We fight back is a stupid idea as well. Returning the blade to Lot publicly seems like the best choice here. It might blow up in my face in a magnitude that's unknown to the sun, but let's do it. The hall stands ready for the hand fasting. You merely wait for the young couple to arrive. Laura will be brought in by her father's serving woman. Gareth will be brought in by his brothers, Agravain and Gawain. You are in fine clothes of soft wool and are uncomfortably warm despite the snow outside. The fires burn bright. Lot stands with his wife talking to some of the guests. You take the opportunity, grasping the sword in its sheath, and walk across to the couple. May I have a moment of time, King Lot? I have something to return to you. The man turns, surprised. He accepts the sword from your hands and studies it. Then he looks up at you, eyes sharp. How did you come by this, Up-Oofer? That's unimportant, my lord. What's important is that it's here and safe. The Saxons tried to drive a wedge between Gwynedd and Lothian by having the blame for this at my feet, lord. I found it fitting to return it to you direct. Your wife placed it in my chamber, lord, for reasons I don't confess to understand. Or, your son Agravain placed it in my chamber, lord. I believe he is desirous of my position. If he wants to contest my right to lead, I'd prefer a straight fight. If we go to a straight fight, we get killed. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm pretty sure of that. I don't want to blame the Saxons. I don't want to blame his wife. This is the only fair thing. I don't like the other part of the way it's said. Let's go with the last one. There's a shock on the faces of the guests, turning to smirks on some faces and outrage on others. Lot looks at his wife and something passes between them. I'm sure there was no insult intended, Up-Oofer, says Lot. Later, when we are not in the midst of a celebration, I will talk with him. But for now, accept my apologies for an embarrassment. I thank you for the return of the blade. That seems to be it. Okay. What? Did it take away our diplomacy? It took away our diplomacy and gave us a bit more of the warrior part. Nice, Strathclyde support. Yes! King Cadell and King Duncan. And so the handfasting of Gareth and Lothian and Laurel of Strathclyde takes place in King Lot's hall. During the marriage feast, King Lot presents the sword to King Duncan of Strathclyde for a second time and declares an oath of binding between the two kingdoms. You spend some time talking to Martha, the leader of the Saxons, and find her to have a wicked sense of humor and a wide experience of the world. You are aware that your accusation of Agravain has caused trouble. The young man's eyes spit daggers at you, but his father treats you as nothing less than an honored guest, and so Agravain can say nothing. The feast is a great success. As it draws to a close, Duncan of Strathclyde approaches you publicly. You have impressed me, Arthur, particularly in your abilities to stand up in a difficult situation and speak the truth. That being the case, I'm minded to offer troops to your banner, not to fight for Gwynedd, but to fight for Britain. I shall send a man to you with the details. Lot smiles and applauds Duncan's words, but offers no similar words of his own. Perhaps the accusation of a member of his family has stung his pride. Well, I guess there was a different way how to make this work better. Or maybe we could have gotten Lot and not Duncan? Who knows? Several days later, you pack up your gear and set off south, back into the snow. Malcolm will travel with you for some of the way, then strike out for his own lands further down the west coast. So, says Kai, keeping his voice low enough that Vivienne won't hear, that's some family you have there, Gawain. I'm not surprised you don't visit that often. Gawain simply scowls and kicks his pony to ride a distance ahead of the rest of you. We regret not having many more of Gawain's family fighting alongside us, says Emrys. I wish you could have convinced Lot, Arthur. I'm just pleased we got out of it with our heads on our shoulders, says Kai. Later, Emrys rides alongside you. So here's the thing, he says quietly. Why do you think it is that Lot brought out the sword on the first night to show it off, only to then take it away once more? What do you mean? I don't know. It simply strikes me as a strange thing to do. I think perhaps he's been playing his own game through all of this. What if Lot was behind the theft all along? Why would he do that, do you think? To discredit us, as through us, Uther, surely? Or perhaps he simply wanted to see how we deal with it. Or perhaps he didn't really want the wedding and tried to cause enough confusion to have it ended. I don't think he was behind it. I think he's just a rich, arrogant man who wanted everyone to see how generous he is. Perhaps he simply wanted to see how we deal with it. A test of our mettle when it comes to things which aren't skill at arms? Possibly. For a time, you ride in silence.